Patrick England, the longtime Las Vegas resident. Here come the Golden Knights. Narciso scores! Stone, excuse me, right off the hop. Evander Kane in this series. Red shot scores! Pacioretty. The Colorado Avalanche has this shot is turned away by Jones. Rebound comes out to Stastny. He scores! Evander Kane with a breakaway. What a poke check from Marc-Andre Fleury. Here's Stone. Through the middle, they score! Redirected home by Stastny.
Mark Stone head up, zips it through to Stastny, splits Braun and Couture. And Paul Stastny, strong bottom hand, is poking to the loose side.
The Sharks have put the Golden Knights in the power play a ton tonight. Jones makes a save, rebound, score! It's Stone again! Swings the last couple minutes. Here's Stone, a shot, he scores! Hat-trick for Mark Stone!
Boy, doesn't that get you ready for Game 5? A slew of goals scored by the Golden Knights in Games 2, 3, and 4, and now have a commanding 3-1 series lead as we take you straight into the start of Game 5 tonight in San Jose. We're the Sports Adrenaline Las Vegas crew. John Castanino, Matt Gutierrez here. Matty,
yes.
Boy, we were here a week ago, last Thursday, and man, what a turn from Game 1 to Game 4. I was ready to jump off a bridge. I mean, maybe not to that extent, Hoover Dam possibly. But this team and didn't know how they could do it, but they turned it on like that for the next 3 games and now have a commanding series lead with that second line, boy. Mm-hmm. And I guess we can start there. I mean, that's the number one thing to, obviously, the team. That's the number one thing that I'll point out. I believe it's 17 goals that the team has scored, 12 of them coming from that second line, which is a number one line on any team in the NHL.
Oh, that line has been incredible, and that's what we've wanted to see since Stone got there, and you saw glimpses of it in those first 10, 11 games when he first hit the team. But, man, the addition of Stone to that line, when you already have a guy like Pacioretty there and you have a center like Paul Stastny, it has been incredible to watch this team work, and so quickly. These goals are coming before Sharks even know what's going on. Martin Jones is completely lost out there. I mean, the way that they jumped on them in Game 2, 3 goals right off the bat. First, 5.5 minutes, it's 3-0. Now, granted, Sharks made a mad dash at the end of the first period to tie it up and take a 3-3 tie into the intermission, but the Knights found one in the second, they found one in the third and put that game away. But they just jumped all over them, and it's been like that now the entire series.
That video montage, thanks to Rich Giacovino at the top of the show there, with Martin Jones repeatedly getting scored on and may even be scored on again today, but that video courtesy of the NHL as well. So you mentioned Martin Jones. Let's pick it up there. I don't know how Pete DeBoer starts this guy again. I mean, it's like live and die by the sword or whatever the heck the saying is. But his numbers in this series, 80 shots, 13 goals. It's an 84% save percentage. Mm-hmm. It's .838, something horrendous. They said he went missing. I don't know if you were following this on Twitter.
I saw it.
Or if any of you are following this on Twitter. By the way, chime in and comment. We want to hear from you guys. Clearly, we want your thoughts going into Game 5. Do the Golden Knights close it out and win this thing tonight? But a media member for the Sharks said that, quote, they couldn't find Martin Jones, which is funny. I've heard a lot of excuses in a locker room or a press conference setting as to why nobody's coming out. They just say he's not coming out, and we'd be like, okay, right. You could get hosed that way. But I've never heard we can't find him.
Maybe it was a little double entendre there. I mean, they nobody's been able to find him. He can't do anything out there. I mean, it's been bad, and I'm honestly surprised that DeBoer is starting him again because why? Why? I mean, what's the definition of insanity? Mm-hmm. Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, right? I mean, that's what's happening here. They're expecting a different result from what they've gotten out of the last 3 games, and I don't know how they're going to get that result. I fully expect if the Knights come out like they have the last couple of games and they jump on this team early, that it's going to be in their head again. You can see the frustration on this team. You can see the bad penalties, and we'll get into all of that. But the bad penalties that they've been taking, just a complete lack of focus from this team the second the Knights jump out in front.
And another stat on Jones, pointed out by somebody, a friend of mine on Twitter, in his last 7 periods of this series, he's given up goals in the first 2 minutes in 6 of them. I mean, it's... And DeBoer came out yesterday. I saw the interview when I saw, and by the way, I'm not a big-time Twitter troll, but as soon as I found out Martin Jones was starting all these games, I just typed in Martin Jones in Twitter just to read the threads, and Sharks fans want to jump off the Bay Bridge.
Yeah.
The Bay Bridge or the Golden Gate Bridge, whatever bridge it is out there that's closest to them. They want to jump off it. I mean, it's wildly entertaining, but again, I don't... DeBoer said something to the effect of it's not on Jones, which is, I guess, true to a certain extent.
Well,
but the guy, you got to get through the first 2 minutes of the game without giving up a goal and give your team a chance, right?
His team has not played very well in front of him outside of that first game. I mean, Burns and Carlson in particular. What happened to these two Norris Trophy winning defensemen that they have there that have just all but disappeared in this series? I mean, they're really not doing anything since game 1. I think they both had a goal in game 1, if I'm not mistaken, or Carlson had a goal and maybe
Carlson,
an assist
I know,
from
scored
Burns.
in the series. It was game 1. Yeah,
I think it was game 1.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, the defense is not doing a whole lot in front of Jones. But, I mean, Jones is not making any saves. And the ones that he is making, it's already too late for the team. They're in a 3-0, 4-0, 5-0 hole at that point.
Again, we're Sports Adrenaline Las Vegas. If you're new to our show, we're going on a little bit earlier than usual, obviously to account for the Game 5 start time here. So we figured we'd lead you right into the game and have some good Knights talk. If you're new to our show, though, welcome. We cover sports in Vegas right here on Facebook just about every Thursday. You're at the Jacobino More production studio here in Las Vegas, just east of the Strip. So we're here in Vegas, and we're obviously happy to be covering this team. But let's go from one goalie to the other goalie.
Yeah.
And Marc-Andre Fleury with his best game since returning from injury, right? That mysterious lower body injury. He missed 9 games.
I don't even.
It's
shouldn't
not
even
relevant
talk about
at this
injuries
point.
anymore with
It's
this team
not
because you're never
relevant.
going to know what it is.
But I mean, phenomenal. It's 28 saves, I think, but really
Yeah.
you're talking about 25 or so in the first 2 periods. The other game where he was under a barrage, and I think it was at one point 17-6 shots in favor of the Sharks, and the Knights had 1 or 2 goals on the board. I think it was 17-7, and they had 2 goals on the board.
14 high danger chances in that first period alone in Game 4, and he stopped every single one of them. I mean, he was amazing in Game 4, and he's steadily gotten better as the series has progressed, all the way up and now into a shutout in Game 4. And we'll see what he brings tonight. But yeah, I mean, even Nate Schmidt, and I think we have some sound from him later on, but he can't believe the saves that this guy's making. The team is just shocked at what Fleury's able to do, and he's been doing this his whole career. And that just tells you what kind of level he brings it up to sometimes. When he gets into that zone, I mean, you can't do anything about it. He's just that good.
Playoff donuts? Did you? Yeah, you went, right? You had
My
tickets?
wife was there. I was
Yeah.
at work, unfortunately. My wife was there for the playoff donuts.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So you were there for Game 5 or 3?
3.
Yeah,
I was
you
there
were
Game 3.
and then the wife went for Game 4.
She did.
You guys are lucky.
She had a blast.
Yeah, I was up in the press box.
We have rally towels.
We don't get donuts up in the press box. It's okay. Actually, one of my professors at UNLV went to the game after Game 4, picked up the donuts, brought them in. So
Nice.
I did have my first
There
Marc-Andre
you go.
Fleury shutout donut.
How was it, John?
It tasted excellent, actually. You can't even taste the sugar, Matt. It just rolls right down.
Sure, it just
back of
melts
your
in your mouth, right?
Yeah. So what do you guys think? We've been a little light on the comments. It's I don't know. Maybe it's the early start time. But are they going to win
Everybody's
tonight?
anxious. They're anxious.
Are they going to win tonight?
You have Glenn asking if the first line wakes up, this could be a long playoff run. I've seen a lot of that, to be honest with you. I've seen a lot of that on Twitter over the last few days. Like, yeah, the second line's great, but where's the first line?
Right.
The first line's playing just fine. There's only so many goals you can get in a game. If the second line is scoring 5 goals a game, it's not like the Knights are going to score 10 goals a game because the first line's going to get rolling. It's kind of how things go. Once one line gets going, that's generally what happens. But it's not as though they're not playing well. They haven't needed their scoring, so they've been okay without the goals hitting the net.
Yeah, let's back up before we get too far, because we do have sound with Marc-Andre Fleury from after Game 4 and his playoff shutout, and he did talk about the donuts. It was out of context, so I didn't include it in this interview. But certainly you can enjoy donuts any time of year, is what Marc-Andre Fleury said. But here he is, just facing that barrage in Game 4 and standing up and eventually getting the shutout.
I feel good all playoffs. They're a good team. You know, it's not over. Obviously, it's a big game tonight, a big win for us, but one game at a time, right?
No, but are you feeling?
I feel good. Yeah.
You feeling like
Okay.
you have your
Yeah, I'm
rhythm
good.
again?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
You got, did you like the action? I mean, they came
the first?
at you. They
Yeah.
came at you a lot, but you were able to hold them off.
First was busy. Had a lot of shots, like guys at the net and stuff. Well, the guys were good. You know, they blocked a lot of shots, and we took over after. Right, we had a great second period, and third period was obviously a lot of power play, so we didn't have too many shots, but good to get that third one there.
You must have been in the position a lot, either up 3-1 or whatever, kind of on the edge. So what's the goal? Like, what's the goal now when you go back there, just to try to finish it? You don't want to extend it, obviously.
No,
what's the
for sure.
mindset now?
Yeah, like I said, they're a very good team, right? They're dangerous, and I think we just gotta go in, focus on our game, focus on our first period, right? Not think too far ahead, just focus on playing the right way for the first and get going for the second, and not think about the results and just the period that we're playing in.
What you didn't see in that clip, by the way, is, I mean, I was one of the first media members in the locker room after the Game 4 win, and Marc-Andre did something for like a Twitter or Instagram for the team, and then, I was like front row, so I got in there, and then like 20 people came running in behind me, and I had microphones. I mean, I don't know if you saw, but it was like this, and I'm like, holy crap, right? And they're right in front of my camera, so I had to get down, and I was on my knees. Well, praising Marc. No, I wasn't doing that. But I was on my knees right in front of Marc-Andre. I don't know what he was thinking at the time, but I mean, I was going to get trampled on.
It's a bit rough in the locker
It
room
was
these days.
rough. And
So what happens as the series progresses, man. It starts to get a little crazy in there. The city's going crazy.
no question, the team wants to finish it off tonight, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you hear them all, and the home crowd's been electric. You're going to hear Paul Stastny momentarily talking about how awesome the crowd has been. And I don't think there's any question at this point that the home crowd is a massive it's not just an advantage. It's a massive advantage when you just have that energy flowing in the city and through that arena.
It's insane. And you saw the light show for Game 3 where everybody got the little glow sticks in their seats going into the stadium, and they shut the lights off for the pregame, and the entire arena lit up in gold wands. From that point on, it was insane in there. The atmosphere from day one, I mean, go all the way back to October of 2017, and the atmosphere in that building has been unchanged throughout the 2 years of this team being a franchise. I don't know if it's just because the Vegas production and the way that they do it, and it just makes it feel more fun, or if it's this city just wanting a professional team so badly, if it's rallying around the success this team has had in the first 2 seasons. I mean, just factor all of that in together, and this place is electric every single night. It's amazing.
I did want to point out my boy, right? This is the first player jersey that I've ever got. Well, I mean, I got a Bo Jackson jersey on sale, right?
Bo knows.
I got a Derek Carr jersey on sale. They were cheap, right? But this is the
Right.
I'm still in the Fanatics Club. I am not in the Adidas Authentic Club yet, okay, when we're talking about dollars, but it's my boy. And Game 3, he like dove in. He was diving on the ice. I mean,
and that's what I was just talking about a moment ago. They haven't been scoring a ton.
Yeah.
Although Marchessault did get a really nice goal the other night.
He sure did.
Beautiful setup from Nate Schmidt.
Yep.
But they're still doing their job. I mean, they are fantastic out on the ice. William Karlsson, some of the plays he makes, it's amazing that he can get back on the defensive end so quickly after working the forecheck on the other side. I mean, he just like that is on the other end. This line is playing really well, even without pumping in goal after goal after goal like that second line is.
Mark Stone's been unreal, huh?
He's not real. I mean, this guy is video.
I told you after
quality.
Game 1 he was phenomenal.
He's video.
I said Game 1 he was phenomenal. You're like, whoa, not phenomenal. Phenomenal. Now,
I said he wasn't phenomenal in Game 1. I didn't mean on the whole.
No, phenomenal.
He is a phenomenal
So
player.
what did I get right after Game 1? Right, that was when we did our last show last Thursday. I was right.
I think that was it right there.
I didn't. Think,
you were panicking a little.
Well, I didn't
John.
think the team could turn it on like that. I'm not going to say it was full blown panic. I was like, okay, let me wait till Game 2 and kind of figure it out.
Well,
but somehow they literally turned it on. It was like a light switch.
What did we say about that game? I said, because we talked about the way that they lost. And I mentioned it's almost better to lose the game like that, to play as poorly as they did and lose that game and know, listen, we can play so much better. When we do play better, we'll get the result we want. This was a bad game. And they played better and got the result. Now, flip that around to Game 4. The Sharks played, at least for the first couple of periods, a really good game. And after those first 2 periods, they were down 3-0. They couldn't do anything because of Marc-Andre Fleury. How defeated are you if you're a San Jose Shark right now where you know you went out and you played your butt off for at least 40 minutes in Game 4 and you got nothing out of it? What do you change? How do you correct any of that going into Game 5? How can you look at yourself and go, okay, yeah, I didn't do this well, I didn't do this well. We can do all of these things better and we'll get the result we want for Game 5. They played really well and got beat 5-0. I don't know that San Jose can do a whole lot more than what they've been doing and find a way to win. It's all about how the Knights play. And as long as the Golden Knights play their style of hockey, which we've seen since the face-off in Game 2, they're going to win this series, and there's really nothing the Sharks can do about it.
Really the only thing, and I just heard reports, I don't think this is confirmed yet, but Vlasic, which I think he's a center or forward for them, or is that? I don't even know. I know the name, but he's supposedly going to suit up for them tonight, and that might be the only thing that really gives them any sort of momentum or jump or jolt, because it's not going to be Martin Jones starting in net. I mean, even if you make the switch to Dell, at least you're signifying to your team, hey, we're not playing well enough right now.
Yeah.
You know, and you shake it up a little bit. But DeBoer, again, I'm not an NHL coach. What do I know? But, you know, I think it'd be pretty obvious to switch it up.
I think so at this point. But they're not. Obviously, they're not going to do it.
So, Golden Knights, not the favorite here tonight. On William Hill, Sharks are minus $1.15. Golden Knights minus $1.05. They were even money, so it's a small favorite towards the Shark here. But let's get into this momentarily, and then we'll go back and we'll hear from Paul Stastny. I did say at one point, this was before, towards the end of the regular season, it's kind of they were mired in that slump where they, I don't know, 1 win in 8 games or whatever it was. They reached 12-1 to win the Cup, and they reached 6.5-1 to win the West. And I went ahead and said, okay, the number's not going to get any higher than that, because you look at that stretch where they win 10 out of 11 games, and you see what this team can do. And I'm not going to say unbeatable, but they were pretty unbeatable during that stretch.
Yeah.
If they play like that, they can win a Stanley Cup. So I put money on them at 12-1 and 6.5-1. And now look where the Golden Knights are. Favorite to win the Stanley Cup, favorite to win the West. Right now, the West, they're just over 2-1 to win the Western Conference, folks. And the series isn't even over. And now they are 4.5-1 to win the Stanley Cup, with Tampa Bay knocked out, with the Penguins knocked out. And really, I mean, any statistical analysis out there has the Golden Knights as the statistical favorite to win this.
And how can you not with the way that they're playing? I mean, Calgary's down 3-1. So the top team in the West is about to go down. Winnipeg is in a 2-2 series dogfight right now. The Predators also in a 2-2 series dogfight. Go look at Tampa Bay. They're gone. Penguins already gone. Last I saw, the Capitals were down 1-0 going into the third period. If that result holds up, it's going to be a 2-2 series. So, I mean, it's amazing the way some of these teams are falling off, and the Golden Knights are elevating. They're starting to play better. And we've mentioned this before. Last year was such an amazing run, and we talked about the point total, and yeah, they'll go under, but most likely they'll have a better lineup when it's all said and done, a better roster than they did last season.
Yep.
And clearly you can see that this is a better roster, better 1 through 12 than what they had last year.
Let's go to some sound from Paul Stastny. And he's scored 2 goals so far in this series with a slew of assists. I'll pull up the point numbers here in a little bit. But clearly, again, I mean, when he came back from injury, I think that was really the jump start. And I know Pacioretty was injured for a stretch there. But consistently getting Stastny back in the lineup after that injury early on in the year has really been, I think, the biggest difference maker in this team, besides the addition of Mark Stone this season. But here's Paul Stastny, again, after the win in Game 4, and here's where he opens up talking about this home crowd as being the reason why this second line is playing so awesome right now.
I don't know, the home crowd maybe. That one, same thing. I think survived in the D zone there, didn't give up much, and then I think once the one D-man fell over. I mean, Patch was a little tired, but then he stayed out there, took advantage of it, and then Stone made a good play, kind of almost doing kind of like a pick and roll there, and then all of a sudden Patch shoots it through both Stoney and their defenseman, and when he's got a shot like that heavy, goalie's got no chance.
You never really want to. Sorry,
how much have you guys fed off the energy this home crowd has given you these past 2 games?
Yeah, big time, and then we weren't that good actually in the first period. We took a lot of penalties, and Flower made a lot of saves, and then I think he really calmed us down, and after that I think we picked up our game.
Well, you never want to go into a game just expecting things to happen, but your line, it's just automatic. Things are just clicking right now. Is it just something that you guys have built in this short time that you've been able to build since Mark, not since Mark got here, but in the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean that's just playoffs. I think some different lines step up on different nights or different rounds of the series. But I think most importantly tonight, I think what was big was Mark Egan on the board, was Tucking on the board, and getting other guys, and all of a sudden now they're going to play with a lot more confidence, and we're going to be a more dangerous team.
3-1 series lead. How does that feel for you? I'm sure you guys probably want to go over there and win. Don't want to come back here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that every game's been harder and harder. They came back with a push, and we know next game they're going to come back, and they'll have Thornton back. They'll be playing the home crowd, so they're going to come out firing. But we got to go in there act like it's a must-win too. Because same thing. I think we know how hard it is to knock a team out, and that fourth game is always the hardest one.
Again, saying, and we mentioned it earlier, you fans know it at home, but this home crowd advantage is just insane. And maybe it only rivals Winnipeg. I mean, I've never been out there, but as far as the look and the feel, and Matt, you mentioned the glow sticks in Game 1, everything flashing and going crazy. I mean, it's an environment where I really feel like that energy completely has an impact on the game when you have that many people standing and roaring and screaming, and Paul Stastny pointing it out right there. And you're sending out the team from City National Arena yesterday, and there's just people screaming, and the night line's out there.
Yeah.
That kind of positive energy, it's really important. And I know there's no statistical number, but I know psychologically, it's what a massive impact that's got to have.
Well, I think what it does is with a team like the Golden Knights, who, we said it before, they're the better team in this series. We believe they're the better team. I think most people out there believe that they were better than the Sharks overall. What it does when you get a team like that in their home building and you get that kind of atmosphere, it makes them that much better. Maybe if you're not the better team, it elevates you enough to be competitive and maybe steal a win, but it takes them to such a higher level that there's really no way teams can keep up with them when they get into their groove and they get that crowd behind them. There's not a whole lot San Jose or whoever else comes in there is going to be able to do. We'll see what the crowd in San Jose is like tonight. I don't expect it to be anywhere near as crazy as it was for Game 2, or Game 1 and Game 2, at the beginning of that game anyways. They were nuts in Game 1, and like you mentioned, based on what you're seeing on Twitter, reaction from Sharks fans, I think a lot of them have already thrown in the towel, and they're probably assuming that this isn't going to last a whole lot longer and just put us out of our misery at this point.
Well, and we know what we can expect from the fine folks in San Jose, that is booing during the national anthem. When the Knights fans say night, they're going to boo, which is disgraceful, in my opinion. I just don't know why you would even do that. Oh, I'm getting fiery talking about that. But we also know, and this is from Jesse Granger and Chris Chapman, local media guys that we know well that are going up to San Jose that flew out this morning. A lot of planes filled with a lot of Golden Knights fans, because you can get a pretty decent price ticket in San Jose because, again, Sharks fans give it up. That's not positive energy, to say the least. Go ahead.
No, you mentioned the booing. I think that was your segue, right? Jumping into these penalties.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, man, we said after Game 1, what's the key? Stay out of the box, guys. Stay out of the box. And right away, I mean, would they have 5 penalties in Game 1, I think? 3 penalties in Game 2. Sharks, 8 penalties in that second game. They only went 1 for 8 on the power play, gave up 2 shorthanded goals. And right away, you saw that frustration start to build from the Sharks. I mean, 8 penalties is a lot, and the crowd was booing. They were booing pretty much everything that happened on the ice that wasn't a San Jose Sharks goal. 6 penalties in Game 3, but I think they played better. They didn't allow that to affect them.
Right.
The
penalty kill was great.
It was. The penalty kill was great, and then again, you saw the frustration from the Sharks in that game. You saw Evander Kane start to take bad penalties. You saw Burns start to take bad penalties. They just started to come unraveled. And then this last game, I mean, that was the end of it. Kane's throwing punches at Colin Miller. He got the game misconduct. He got 2 minors in addition to the game misconduct. So he was out. There was only, 12 minutes left in the game at that point? He was done for the day. This frustration level from the Sharks right now is at its peak. And if the Knights jump on them early, I said it before, if they jump on them early, you're going to start to see this boil over again. They're going to start taking bad penalties. Vander Kane can't keep his head on straight right now. Ryan Reeves is so deep into that guy's mind, he doesn't know what to do with himself. Keeps talking about how Reeves is a 7-minute-a-game guy, yet that's all he can think about is Ryan Reeves. They're going to frustrate this team by jumping on them early, and I think you're going to see another 8-penalty game.
We didn't get on Rich Giacovino soon enough here to include that, but you can see it. You can hold on. Let me hold it up. The Muffin Man. This is Ryan Reeves' new profile picture, which I absolutely love. I don't know. I don't recognize this from anywhere. I don't know if it's like a well-known picture, but he changed that to that after Evander Kane called him a Muffin Man. And I've really come to respect Ryan Reeves, like, massively, right? And you fans out there, you're like, hey, this guy's a thug. What are we bringing him in here for against the LA Kings, right, where he picks up bad penalties? And that was with games left in the regular season. But this guy is now so in control of his emotions. He knows how to bait players. And the Sharks said as much after, I think, Game 3. They said he knows exactly what he's doing. Yeah. He can chirp at them at the right time. He can say the right thing to really distract this San Jose team. So, I mean,
he's absolutely done it, too. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
The rest of the league hates
him. They're so frustrated.
I love to hate to love guys. I don't know. What is it? Hate to love guys like that? Love to hate? I don't know what it is. I know the rest of the league hates him.
You love that guy if he's on your team. You hate him if he's not. That's Bill Romanowski for me. I hated Romanowski when he was a Bronco. Man, did I love that guy in the silver and black, right? I mean, he's that kind of guy. He just frustrates the hell out of you when he's on the ice. And for a guy like Evander Kane, who's had the career that he's already had, to be that frustrated with a fourth-line winger, I mean, he's out there fighting the guy now. It's in his head. I think he's done.
Yeah, we're a little low on comments. I think it's people are at watch parties. They're getting sauced up before the puck drops.
Getting ready, man.
Get on Twitter. I don't care if they're drunk tweets or if you're drunk right now. I don't know. You're having a good time, clearly. I want to go, again, there's so much to talk about, but let's talk about, again, these point numbers. So if you look up the statistics for the point season, the top 3 point getters in the NHL right now is the second line for the Golden Knights.
Yeah.
Stone and Pacioretty with 10 points. Again, this is across the NHL. They're 1 and 1A, and Paul Stastny's at 8. Again, Stone, 6 goals, 4 assists. Pacioretty, 4 goals, 6 assists. Stastny, 2 goals, 6 assists. It's
Shea Theodore's right there with 6 points, I believe.
He's not in the at least he's not in that top 5 here. He's tied for 5th. They put him at the bottom of the list as far as 5.
Yeah, he's a defenseman.
That goal that he scored in game 4, right? Game 4, to make it 2.
That was some. Are you sure he's on the right side of the puck?
I'm telling you.
Put that kid at center, man.
If you guys don't know, I mean, I'm sure you impressed, but that doesn't happen for a defenseman. No. I mean, that was some the slick mitts is what I picked up on
Some of these
Twitter.
goals that we've seen from these guys already, man. I want to go back to the first goal of the game yesterday with or 2 nights ago.
Oh, I jumped out of my seat actually when you talk about
the play that Mark Stone made. I don't know if you went back and watched that play.
Yeah.
He so he gets the puck through the neutral zone. He crosses the blue line. Pacioretty is, I don't know, 15, 20 feet away from him on the blue line.
On his right, yeah.
And he leaves the puck behind him for Pacioretty, knowing Pacioretty's going to come through and come behind him. Just leaves the puck there, takes his man with him, and in the process screens off Pacioretty's man. Pacioretty has a clear look at the net and right off his stick and got the goal. Mark Stone is so good. Mm-hmm. That dude is amazing to watch play this game.
I saw that happen. Well, and it was at the start of the game, right? A lot of energy. But I seriously yelped. Like, I jumped up and I said, holy.
Unbelievable.
That was a phenomenal play. And then you follow that up with the Shea Theodore goal. Again, It just feels like everything's just coming together at the right time for this team.
They're rolling. Put this team away right now. Put the Sharks away tonight. Right. Get a little rest. Get ready for whether it's Colorado or if Calgary can make a comeback here, which I don't think they will, the way Colorado's playing. And then you go into that series, and that's going to be a phenomenal series. The Knights will have home ice advantage if it comes to that. And, Colorado's playing good, and they're putting away a pretty good Calgary team who had, 109, 110 points this season?
Well, they dominated
Top
the
in the
Pacific,
West.
from start to finish.
Yeah.
Again, you mentioned it just now, but I think Golden Knights fans do want the Avs to win, in case you're not here in the sense that you're paying attention to it. But numbers-wise, Golden Knights would have home ice advantage for that series, so that would mean games 1 and 2 here in Las Vegas. It would mean game, 5 and 7 here in Las Vegas. And that's a series, and we can touch on this briefly, but, it's great to not have a serious vested interest in that series because, man, those games have been so much fun to watch.
They really have. Last night was a blast. I don't know how many of you caught that game last night, but 2-0, midway to late into the third period, and Colorado finds 2 goals, one of them on a power play with about, 3.5 minutes to go to tie the game, and then they get into overtime, and Calgary goes on the power play, and Avalanche managed to kill it off, and then maybe a minute later get the goal, and it was a pretty goal too. You could see it coming.
It was fun.
And they're up.
Fun, man.
Carolina 2-1 final, so that series is now tied with the Capitals. So, man, there's a lot going on right now.
Yeah, and again, at Tampa Bay, what happened with them? Not to go too deep into that,
man.
But you coast in the regular season, and I think it's just you fall asleep, right? And your brain turns off, and you're like, hey, I'm looking forward to a Stanley Cup run here, and you're not looking at the team in front of you. So credit to, not the Islanders. They knocked out the Penguins.
They played the Blue Jackets.
Sorry,
Columbus.
Blue Jackets. Sorry, it totally escaped my mind. And credit to the Islanders as well. That was the one upset I did have picked. Islanders beating the Penguins in the first round.
Swept them. Do you have a sweep?
No.
Put some money on a sweep. You're in good shape.
That was like 100 to 1 or 500 to 1. It was something
unbelievable.
ridiculous. Again, thanks for tuning in, everybody. We're getting you ready here for Game 5, Golden Knights against San Jose. Obviously, the Golden Knights can finish this series off here with a win tonight. So how do you feel about the first 5-10 minutes of this game? The Sharks are in desperation mode, right? Win or go home.
Yeah, absolutely. They have to be. They have to come out like they did in Game 1 and jump all over the Knights. The problem is we haven't seen them do it since the first few minutes of Game 1. The Golden Knights have jumped all over this team from the opening puck drop in just about every single period, not just game, every single period since that first game. They have jumped all over the Sharks. I don't know why today would be a whole lot different, because I think the Golden Knights understand exactly the way they need to play to jump all over this team. And if they can do that, if you're Martin Jones and you look up and there's 4 minutes off the clock and you're already down 2-0, you're done. Your psyche has to be completely broken at that point. And as for the rest of the team, again, that frustration level is going to start to set in. And if Fleury plays the way he did the other night and they can't crack that scoreboard in the first period and a half, and the Knights build a 2 or 3 goal lead, you're going to see them just fall apart. I think they'll mail it in, honestly. I think they've completely broken this team.
Maybe you get a good 5 to 10 minutes, right? But as Matt said, you're breaking their spirit. They get a goal early, like they have been these last 3 games. Excuse me. And I think it's lights out. If you're joining us late, again, Martin Jones is starting in net tonight for some reason for San Jose. And I highly recommend just searching Martin Jones on Twitter and doing a search, and you'll be highly entertained with Sharks fans just writhing in agony. He also was, the quote was, couldn't find him after Game 4. They couldn't find him.
Where'd he go?
People legitimately thought he went missing.
They're looking for the Martin Jones of 2 seasons ago. That's what they meant.
Right.
We can't find the Martin Jones from the 2016 run.
Yeah.
Where'd he go?
By the way, he's locked up until 2022, something like that for San Jose. So, and how do you come back from that? I get it's a nice off season. You've got some time to reset and get refocused, but I just don't know how you come back from a performance unless for some reason he figures it out. He's been yanked 6 times in 13 games. I believe that is the number against the Golden Knights. Yeah. 6 times, almost half the time he's played the Golden Knights, he's been pulled.
And when he wasn't, he's been giving up, 6 goals the other day he gave up and stayed in the whole time?
This logo scares him, I think.
Terrifying. Yeah. It's terrifying.
So let's get to our last soundbite that we have. Earlier we had Marc-Andre Fleury talking about how good he feels, to recap that. We had Paul Stastny telling the home crowd that it must be their energy for the reason the second line is playing so well. Now here is Nate Schmidt, and he's going to talk about how the defense, it's really a lot easier for them to play defense when you have an offense that's playing as well as the Golden Knights are right now. Here's Nate Schmidt.
Yeah, it's fun. Honestly, it's called watching offense for the D. You just sit back and watch and enjoy the show. They're a special group. They've really gelled really well. Not saying that Patch and Stash weren't good in the beginning of the year, but just having a guy like Mark come in and the way that they've meshed as a group is really impressive. It just puts so much pressure on teams. I mean, yes. So our Marchie line has been held off the scoreboard a little bit, but in the last couple of games, but our guys have been. That's the playoffs, really. When you have depth scoring, and not to call them depth, but like throughout your lineup, you get guys. It's impressive.
I mean, yeah, he doesn't want to bash guys from early in the season, but you added Mark Stone. He's one of the top wingers in the NHL, not just on the Knights, not just on where was he at? Ottawa. He's one of the top wingers in the NHL. You brought him and put him on that line. You don't have to clarify it by saying, "Oh, not that they weren't good." We get it. You brought one of the best guys in the NHL and put him on there. Of course, they're going to play better. And now that they've gelled, you see what they're doing. I mean, it's amazing. The hat trick. We didn't even talk about the hat trick the other night.
You're right. I mean, there's so much to talk about.
There's so much. It's the first playoff hat trick in Golden Knights history.
His first hat trick.
First career.
Yeah.
That I was stunned at that. A guy that scores the way that Mark Stone does.
He's a selfless player. He's always been that way, right?
Yeah.
At least
he's so good with the puck.
And now he is a finalist for the Selke Trophy, which is awarded to the top defensive forward in the NHL, and he led the NHL in takeaways. So clearly, again, the Golden Knights won out.
This guy.
George McPhee seems to know what he's doing. We haven't even talked about Nikita Gusev joining the Knights, and there was a press conference. I watched some of it. I didn't watch the whole thing. But to paraphrase that, so Gusev, of course, the best player outside of the NHL to be brought over now to the NHL. The Golden Knights had his rights going back to the expansion draft of a couple of years ago, right? Tampa Bay did that. We had to, the Golden Knights had to select Jason Garrison, I believe, to get those rights as well. But Gusev, really impressed by the home crowd, and also said he didn't expect to play right away. I wonder when you get him into the fold. Is it really, obviously you're going to ride this until it maybe even breaks.
I don't think we see Gusev, honestly.
Unless it's desperation.
Right, unless something goes terribly wrong, unless, I mean, we haven't even seen Carpenter or Peary in this series yet. So I find it hard to believe that Gallant's going to be willing to move Gusev up over either one of those two guys. Maybe Peary. I know you have your issues with that because you love the guy. But I would be shocked if he put him in over Carpenter. I'm actually surprised that Nosek's been getting as much run as he has over Carpenter. Nonetheless, you have a healthy team right now, and you have depth outside of your top 12 offensive players. So, I just don't see where he would get the time right now. And how close is Eric Haula? I mean, if Eric Haula, let's just, for argument's sake, say that Eric Haula, who has been skating, started practicing with the team. Now he's available after a week of practice, according to Gallant. If he practices for a week, he'll be ready to play. If he practices for a week and now he's there, do you put Gusev in over a guy who's been there since day one, 2 years ago? So I don't know. I think it's going to be hard for him to crack the lineup outside of, like you said, just mass chaos, and they're in desperation mode, and they need a spark of some kind because it's a 3-0 series, and what do you have to lose at that point?
So players taking the ice now for warm-ups in San Jose. Again, we're getting you ready for the puck drop here. Vince Sapienza, my paisan over from Fox 5, says, no buzz in the building. Completely different atmosphere compared to games 1 and 2. So, again.
Not surprising.
Not surprising in the least. And, again, it is confirmed. I mean, we already knew this, but Martin Jones is starting in net.
I saw that last year in L.A. I went to Game 4 last year against the Kings, where the Knights were up 3-0 in that series, and it felt dead. The arena felt dead. The Knights chant was loud. There were Golden Knights fans everywhere, and it didn't feel like playoff hockey because I think L.A. was resigned to the fact that, you know what, it's over. We're going to lose this game, and that's a wrap for the season.
Vlasic in the lineup for the San Jose Sharks, and he is a defenseman, so he's paired with Burns there on the back end. Wonder if he has a beard just like everybody else on that team.
Playoff hockey beard time, man.
Yeah, and again, so do we say Knights? I mean, I don't see how the Knights lose this game unless the Sharks just pull one. If this is a close game, a grind 'em out game, and the Golden Knight or Martin Jones manages to play a halfway decent game. But again, you look at how Marc-Andre Fleury played. I just don't think he nosedives after such a great performance that he had in Game 4. So I think Fleury's going to be on point. I think it's just up to Martin Jones here. He needs to have an excellent game for their team to have any chance.
There's no reason for the Knights to think that they can't play the way they've been playing and come out of here with a victory. And there's no reason for any of us to believe anything different unless you see the Sharks manhandle that game. And I don't think they have it in them at this point. I mean, not that teams quit. Guys don't quit. These are professional hockey players. They're not going to quit. But sometimes, like we mentioned, it gets in your head and you just don't give it the same push, that same effort, that same drive that you might if it's a Game 7 and you're trying to bring it all home. So jump on them early, get in their head, put this game away quick, and just watch the Sharks unravel.
To quote Kelly Winder, go Knights go, catch them and cook them.
There you go.
I like that.
A little shark steak.
Yeah. Back to betting, because, I like talking about betting. I'm not wildly successful, but, again, I am successful. There's a lot of first goal props as well. Who scores the first goal? Pacioretty's at 10-1. Riley Smith, who hasn't scored in this series, he's like 30-1. So you get some good odds on some players. That's on the William Hill app that I have on my phone. Maybe I'll take another look at that as well before the puck.
I like the Riley Smith odds. I think he's due. He's due for a 2-point game. I think a goal and an assist tonight.
Could be worth a flyer. All right. So again, final prediction here: Knights win.
I've got the Knights putting them away. 5 games. We all thought it would be 6. Why not finish it off in 5? Another series clinching road win for this team. They don't seem to want to clinch anything at home, which is fine as long as you clinch. So I've got the Knights. Winning. I'm going to say it's a 4-1 final tonight.
Yeah, I'll go 4-2. Knights win, close it out, come back home, get some rest, and I think good to get Gusev maybe some playing time with the full unit now. If the Knights had, because these practices have been optional. I'm sure they had a morning skate this morning, but I think it's typically optional. Or maybe, no, that's mandatory. It's the off day that's the optional skate. Right. So you usually don't see a lot of players. But once this team gets this series over with, they can not sit, but they can practice full unit and get Gusev out there. And I just like to see if Gallant does just bring him into the fold. I mean, I get it. If it's not broke, don't fix it. But maybe it's just to the point where he just takes off. Did you see that goal? You saw that goal. That skills competition goal.
Oh, the one where he flipped around at 360 with the puck on his stick, and it's disgusting. But he's never played in the NHL, so you have no idea what you're going to get once a guy actually gets out there, and you don't need him right now. He's here. That's great. It's nice to have a guy of that kind of talent level on your roster, but you don't need him right now. You're up 3-1. You're playing well. You're scoring goals. Let him cook for a little while.
Yeah, Jose Volante, telepathically sending out the vibes. I think you just tweeted it, commented, and then we started talking about it. When did we see Gusev? So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Yeah. I think if you see things going so well, but that's not Gallant's style, and I know that. But it would be nice to see if everything's just flowing and this team's playing out of its mind, why not just throw him in there?
I think it would be the reverse. Right. If everything's going well, you don't mess with anything. If you're down 3-0, 3-1, whatever it is, and you just can't find a rhythm, then you start to tinker with things. But, I mean, you see him do that in games where his offense just isn't going, and he starts to mess with the line combinations a little bit to try to get a spark. You never see that happen when they're up in a game. You don't see them up 4-0 in a game, and then he starts messing with line combinations. So I think the same will hold true as far as Gusev is concerned.
Okay, any final thoughts, Matt? We'll wrap this up. And, again, you guys, if you're tuning in late, just wait. We'll end the feed, and then you can start off the top, and we've got injuries. I didn't want to say that. Marc-Andre Fleury, we've got an interview with him. We've got Paul Stastny. We've got Nate Schmidt. So you could see that at the top of the show. And really, we're not arguing about anything. We did say we were wrong we were wrong. I was ready to jump off a bridge after Game 1, sort of. Matt was saying, hey, you can't count on shorthanded goals to win the series.
What do I know?
Game 2, they get 2 of them. Yeah. Right. Final thoughts?
Knights in 5.
Okay, Knights in 5. All right, we're going to wrap this thing up. Again, you can watch the feed here. We'll restart it. It'll just be up on Facebook. Get ready for Game 5. Hope you enjoy the show. Give our page a like. If you have not given us a like before, please give us a like now. For our sponsors, The Pint, the Michael Westra Allstate Agency, and Hollett.com, we're signing off. Enjoy Game 5, and, we're repping. We'll see you next time here on Sports Journal. In life, just like in football, you need good hands to score. The Michael Westra Allstate Agency will carry you to success for every insurance need. Auto, business, home, life. Michael will personally see you get the best rates, and our full-service staff at 702-435-4211 will walk you through any claim, not refer you to an 800 number. For over 15 years, Michael has served charities in Las Vegas. He's ready to serve you at 702-435-4211, 702-435-4211. Drink, dine, and play at the Pint during the pro football season. Join us all day Sunday plus Monday and Thursday nights as we serve up the best specials on the west side. $2 all-beef hot dogs, $3 beers from locally made Bad Beat Brewing, $15 buckets of Bud Light, and sound for every Raider game. Our carefully crafted menu and loose slots create a locals atmosphere you'll love, plus awesome parties during every Golden Knights game. The Pint, located at 9941 West Charleston near Wallapai. The Pint, your premier neighborhood bar.